Ba-dum-bum-bum. Right, g'day team. I hope we're all well. Just checking all of our stuff. Ba-dum-bum-bum-bum. Righto. I think we'll be okay with that. Right, good morning everybody. Got to use the laptop today. Some reason my boy has lost my YouTube on my phone. And and so I've got it downloaded again. I literally just saw it about a minute ago and it won't load for some reason. So I'm like, oh, well, that's okay. But at least we're here ready to rock and roll. Just need to make sure we are actually all go because I've got that going. Oh, no, that one's going. Okay. I just got to see why this one ain't going. Need to be able to see the chat. Oh, there we go. No, we're good. We're good. There we are there. I can see myself rowing. So we should be fine. Live. Let me click that live button. Oh, there we are. I'll just turn that. Now we've got no volume. That's great. Perfect. Okay, perfect. Right. Okay, so I think I sort of alluded to last time. Part of a good mix of program is to be able to have a range, right? When we think about like what we're trying to do in terms of our own fitness or our own goals or specifics, so to speak, we probably sometimes just get, I wouldn't say complacent, but we probably don't, push it to where we need to go. Now, I was thinking of doing an anaerobic capacity row this morning, but I've had a long weekend doing stuff, so I was like, yeah, maybe not, because that stuff's really intense. So I thought we'll just jump in and we'll do some sort of building stuff today again. Just working on rate, working on our rhythm, our free speed, what we can create. And so today, what I want us to think about and focus on is this idea of free speed, okay? Now, without spending an hour here talking about it, because we could, free speed is allowing ourselves to create speed or momentum, transfer of mass, without having to use a lot of energy for our benefit, okay? So when we think about this free speed notion, what we're really trying to achieve is inertia and momentum, change of direction, thinking about the stroke in terms of a physics / biomechanical way, okay? And so what it's not too much different than what we sort of normally talk about, and try to achieve. But today we'll just really try and focus on it as part of the piece. Okay, so when we talk about this free speed and this notion of what free speed actually is, there's a couple of points that we'll focus on. Right, one is what we do around the finish of the stroke. Okay, so when we finish the stroke and this momentum that we create in terms of this inertia, okay, around the finish. So as we finish the stroke, a couple of points to think about. We want this stability of the body, okay? So our core engagement and what we're doing here at the finish. And so as we drive through and we continue this draw as it's coming into the body, okay, we've got stability in the body. We've got nice connection with the feet, okay, and that's going to cause us to have a little bit of sort of pull or draw on the toes, so to speak, around here, which helps us because, if we have feet out, we're gonna sort of be too, can't hold ourselves in. So we use the machine with the straps, okay, and this motion here to get our body back around is this inertia that we always talk about. Okay, so the drive through here, the hand speed that's created, this engagement of the core for that sort of period of time from just before the finish back so that we get this body motion started to create the transfer of our mass, okay? And then once we've created this transfer of mass and we've got these supple knees which just allow us to break naturally, okay? Round the finish, break naturally, then we just need to think about this almost one travel speed forward. Now, I see a lot about people saying, oh, you got to control the slide into the front and that type of thing, whereas my opinion on this whole travel speed, and you can do it here while you're sitting here, is that if you just let yourself travel forward, right, you're going to naturally compress into that position anyway, which is here, and without trying to hold ourselves out there, okay, we find our natural space, right, which is, for me, I'm here and I'm not having to really hold myself in a position. I could probably sit here comfortably, got a little bit of tension in the Achilles and stuff, but it's this motion from here through here that if we think about that transfer of our mass, right, this is the physics, the biomechanics of it, we transfer the mass here and then we start this roll at one pace. We don't even need to think about any sort of control on the slide, okay? And we just let it come forward until we literally cannot compress anymore. It is virtually impossible to over compress because one, if you're nice and tall, got big, long orangutan arms, you're going to hit this housing with this anyway, okay? But ultimately, it's this natural movement into the front and this natural compression of the body, which just puts the brakes on for us, okay? So the free speed notion is that part here to there, where we transfer the mass. We've got time to sort of regroup, so to speak. And even though, it's going to be pretty fast and that type of thing, but this is where we're not having to try and force ourselves to get over. We create this momentum. We use the physics of everything, the biomechanics. We can't throw ourselves too far back because we've got our feet hooked into our straps. So we use that with our core stability to create that momentum, right? The inertia, the change in direction, to create that round the finish and then just travel forward. Okay? Now, if we can do that, we're not having to think about getting to the next stroke as such. We're not I've got to get there ready to take the next one. We try and just have a psychological change as to this is just a momentum switch. It's a travel forward, and I'm just going to let it happen, okay? And within that, yes, we need to make sure we're thinking about like how we like the our posture so that we don't sort of come in like this and we're down. You know, we're still thinking about this process which has been created by the finish, and then just the roll, the compress, and we're at the front. Okay. So when that starts to happen at higher rating, right, then we also switch that psychology to be like this movement and this rhythm becomes sort of metronomic, right? And then we also start getting onto the thought process of like, well, I'm picking up the speed of the flywheel, like it's already moving. And so for the bulk of this, you know, for probably the middle section of this workout, we are at a space where that momentum is just helping us along, and we're just going back and forward, back and forward, back and forward. And so then we think about our composure, our breathing, our relaxation, being as relaxed as much as possible. And then once we start getting up into this area, right, which is sort of 30 above, that type of thing, then yes, we have to think about the energy expenditure that we're using to maintain that flywheel speed. Okay. But if we can do that with that relaxation, then we will manage it easier. Okay. Because ultimately it's still going to be hard, right? We're still going to be working, heart rate's going to be up, everything like that. But it's the thought process around how can I make this as easy on myself while I'm trying to push myself. Okay, because it's hard, right? We can't not get like we can't get any speed unless we create our pressure. Okay, and one thing I've always sort of said on this channel is it's like I've never really asked you guys to like have to like push or you know like think about your output as such. You know, the output is there. We're always going to do it, and so it's managing what your output expectation is currently and go, well, what if I could actually get a little bit more output? How do I get it? Right. And it's like you either work harder. Well, I'm already working really fucking hard as it is. So then you're like, well, can I work harder, but then transfer some of the energy that I'm using somewhere else into that part where I have to work it to create the speed. So that's the thought process. Is like, well, if I can have this period of losing the tension, trying to be relaxed, trying to breathe, then I can put the tension that's needed into the drive, right, which is through that stroke, and then the rest of it takes care of itself. Okay, so while we're doing these building things, okay, remembering that we're building into the pace, we're holding the speed, okay, and we're looking to find out what our equilibrium is at all of these 8 pieces, okay, how much effort can I sustain, okay, without getting to like the last 30 seconds going, fuck, I wish this would like, you know, hurry up and finish. Like there's still that element of like, oh, I'm going to have to hold myself. But that's the whole idea, is getting to a point where you're like, okay, I'm sitting here, and if I try any harder, I'm going to blow, or I'm going to start throwing my form out of place. So it's just a real balancing act with that, okay? So we've got 8 pieces to do, 2 minutes for each piece. As you'll see, most of them are just a 1 minute change, okay? And we build up through the rates. You know, the first 2 or 3 are creating that speed. Once we get up, so 20, 22, 24, it raises 2 points for 5 of them. Okay, then we're going to do the 6th one. We're going to do 2 minutes at 32. So that's sort of our. I'd like to feel like that's going to be close to our baseline, right? Not far off. Race rate might be higher for some, might be lower for others, but it's a really good place to really like focus in on. Let's make this 6th one of the focus pieces of the session. So by the time we get to that, we've allowed ourselves to think about how we're doing it. Where heart rates are up, we've had the time, the body will be warm. So when we do that 6th piece, we roll into it, we find our 32, we tap it along, we stay as relaxed as we can, and it's a plus or minus sort of 500 meter, right? Depending on the pace that you're doing. And so it's a really good benchmark to be like, hey, look, I did that after doing 6 and I hit the speed, felt really good. And then the last couple, we just start raising the rate again. Okay, so the 7th one will go 1 minute 32, 1 minute 34. So we're really looking to increase that rating as efficiently as possible. And then the last one, which is the 30-second change, this is the building piece. I've got down 32, 34, 36, and then 36 plus. But it's up to you and your ratings, right? And as I say, if it's depending on your expectations, your current abilities, just play these ratings by ear. You know, if you're like, look, I struggle to get above 30, then just, you know, do a couple of these at the same sort of rating. Then focus the sixth one to be at that sort of, you know, your rating type of thing. And then build the last couple with me. Okay. So let's rock and roll. Just get warmed up. We'll just take a little bit longer in the warm up. Might just raise the rate a little bit towards the end of it. As always, as I speak about, this is a chance to have a play with your feet. Okay, with the drag factor, doing what you're doing. Okay, just checking that drag. Come up a little bit. And also, you know, like when, hopefully if you're, you know, you've had experience on here and we've had our time, you'll be comfortable in the setup, okay? But remember, don't be afraid to try new things, you know, just have if you're searching for something, if you're like, oh, you know, don't feel like I'm getting the compression into the catch, drop the feet down, you know. Feel like you're getting over too much, put your feet up a point, you know. Little things like that. I just know that I've got size 13 and a half feet. I just got to go down. I've got to go down the bottom. Okay. So as always in this start of our warm-up, just let ourselves be supple. Let ourselves feel the handle. Okay, feel the recoil. If we are holding ourselves too much, holding the tension in the arms, you know, and restricting the recoil of the machine, okay, that's us affecting our speed. And ultimately, we're trying to minimize the negative effects and really trying to search for that efficiency, okay? So as we start to get more flexible, a little bit looser, keep identifying our 3 connection points, okay, especially off the front, the hands, the feet, the seat. We've got the pressure against the feet and the relationship between the handle and the seat. Okay, good. Just letting that seat continue to travel here at one speed, okay? It's with that transfer of pressure in our shoes, okay, you can feel, because we have to have, you know, there's people that teach, you know, try and point your toes at the finish, you know, feel that, you know, pressure against your toes, but that just sort of creates too much tension, you know, through the hip flexors, and it sort of restricts your ability to just try and sit like right back through the stroke, okay? Because we are trying to drive the body and the legs. And the only thing that's holding us is our feet on the straps. And so let that happen. The drive, hey, we can feel that tension, you know, the straps holding us, right? And then it's that transfer, that body mass change, the inertia to get it back started, okay? As I say, I want us to be relaxed and to use the body's momentum and elasticity rather than, you know, if we don't get set, we're like this and then we have to dive, okay? So we're coming in and we have to move our body forward. And that's what you see with a lot of people because they don't quite get enough set, okay? And then the opposite happens is that we try and be set here and then it's a little bit artificial, okay? Whereas we can get our body like this position that we have at the front, right here as we take the catch. We've got to be ready for it at the catch, okay? But we do need to have it started so that we do have a shift of momentum here. And then that very last 5 to 10% of this setup is happening as we compress here, okay? So let's just raise the rate a little bit, okay? Just build it up to 22, 24. Just feel the rhythm, okay, in your own time. Now, and create the momentum, the leg drive. Focus on these hands around the finish, drawing to the body, brushing around. Sitting out over soft knees. Drawing that body forward. Holding that head and the handles on that plane. Okay, take it down. Really good. Okay. So, in any instance, okay, unless we just jump straight into rate, you know, do you feel supple? Do you feel flexible? Do you feel in a position to be able to start working? That's what a warm-up needs to be about, just so that we get ourselves into that area so that we're ready to go, okay? We do hard out pieces, yes. We have to go through the ratings so that we're ready to start where we start, okay? And that's why I'm always a big fan of, because we're practicing, right? We're practicing. So let's practice through the stages to get ourselves up to where we want to go, okay? Rather than saying, oh, let's do, 4 of these or whatever, or 6 of these at 32 straight off the bat. Let's work up to it, okay? Identify the points where we can find that speed or be more efficient or find the ratings that we're actually really comfortable at, okay? And then that allows us to find a benchmark to then be able to move on from or practice from, and go, well, shit, 28:30 at the moment feels like my sweet spot. Cool, okay? Then that means that the program needs to develop some rating, that type of thing. Okay, so it's just all about identifying, giving ourselves a realistic expectation, knowing our capabilities, okay, so that we spend time on the machine. We see the numbers that we're doing. We've got an idea in our head about this realistic expectation, which I feel is one of the most important things to be able to do, so that when you jump on the machine, you know, oh, at 28 rating, I can hit 158, whatever, okay? And you're like, that's cool. So I know what my speed is. And then you can work on that and find out what you're doing at 20 rate, at 24 rate, at 32 rate, for whatever specific periods of time. And it just allows you to feel where you are, okay? And then day by day, geez, I couldn't hit my splits today. Why is that? I've been training for 4 days. I haven't had a break. Didn't sleep well, you know, I've been stressed, whatever else. So it's a real identification thing, which just allows us to know ourselves, okay, which is one of the big things that we also need to be able to do. Okay, right. Enough chit chat, Eric. Let's rock and roll. Okay, select workout, new workout, intervals time. Okay, take that set time up to 2 minutes and take that rest time up to 1 minute. Just leave it flashing for a second. Okay. We'll get ourselves ready to rock and roll. Okay, so let's press that check box. We're locked in. Times are ready to go. Got a lovely light coming through here. It could give me a halo just above me. Thanks, Jesus. Okay, so first one, just getting it moving, thinking about our movements. Okay, focused on what we can do. Okay, right. Sitting ready. Airy. Row. Okay, 1 minute at 22. 1 minute 24. I'm just really starting here by feeling our press, our pressure. Okay, feeling our motion, our inertia around the finish. Like draw with the handle, the release of that draw tension, back with the body. Okay, up 2. Now, I think just that little bit more speed of the drive. Okay, leg speed. It creates that momentum. The movement around the finish. Okay, good, really hanging. Nice, okay, good. Relax, sit up, roll into the front, compress. Okay, good. Okay. So, as always, these first few, just feeling the rhythm, okay? Feeling the speed, how we create the speed, breathing into it. We find our own breathing rhythm, okay? Not having too much tension in the body that we're, like locking ourselves in on that drive. We've got hand tension. So to be able to find wherever we can breathe in on the stroke, whatever, okay? So, there's our benchmark for that, ready to move again, build. Now, okay, elastic start. Feel the hang. Lead with these arms. Lead with the draw of the chain, the recoil of the chain. Feeling that stability around the finish. Start that body rock process. Thank good. Okay, now ready to move. Leg speed, here we go. Now, so a little bit more acceleration. Then the hands move quicker around the finish to match it. The travel speed comes with it. And now we're in a continuous motion. Breathing. Okay, both feet. Feel the press as we hang. Nice. Okay, really good. Tap it along. Good. Okay. So, really good. First starting couple of pieces, thinking about that rhythm, okay? This free speed, learning just how to finish the stroke with this draw, okay? And then, we release that tension and just the handle's gonna pull us back, okay? And that's where we have a feeling with it to move our body in the position that we need to, okay? And then travel back with the speed that's required for the rating, okay? And trying to make it feel metronomic, 1-to-1, okay? And keep as close as we can to the rating, okay? Firm, 26. Maybe elastic to start. Elastic length. And then once we're at speed and rate, then double check. Are you comfortable with the length? Okay. Nice press. Nice drive. Okay, we're creating motion. Staying relaxed. Back onto the top of the flywheel. Okay, good. So, move the hands, leg speed. Here we go. Now, 28. The elastic with length. Good, that's it. Feel the drive through the stroke. Open the mouth. Relax the face. Nice, okay? Good speed.
Yeah, pepper. Feel the ratio. Work, rest. Okay, good. So, as I always say, try and stay as relaxed and loose as possible, okay, because rating, having to move that many times a minute, okay, is what does create the heart rate, okay, having to have the speed to get it, okay, because we can't get 28 if we're not trying to find that energy of expenditure of the acceleration, okay. So we start here at 28, okay, starting to really get metronomic here, okay, with our rhythm, our ratio. Building, elastic, now, okay. Don't have to be right out at length on the first couple. Just want to get our machine moving, flywheel moving, okay. Now we're there, feel our rhythm, transfer of mass, one speed forward, okay, body compress, good, stay loose, under the shoulders, under the armpits, nice, okay, 30, now, elastic, really good, there it is, okay, feel the speed, hang, drive the body back through the stroke. Flywheel's moving, breathe, tap it. Good. Okay, really nice. Okay, so we're up in heart rate. Hey, stress levels are coming up. We want to focus these next couple of pieces here. Find our movement speed, find our drive speed, find our free speed. Okay, natural length, natural compression, breathe into it. Really try find a consistent number. Okay, building 30, then 32. Here we go. Now, good. Okay, compress, elastic. Nice finish. Feel the acceleration. Handle coming to the body. Don't pull it. Let it happen. Brush the body. There it is. Okay, now sit here, breathe. Hang in the fingers, up 2. Now, elastic length. Okay, there it is. Rhythm around the back. Brush the body, hands away. Good. Okay, hang. Open the mouth. Supple knees. Good. Real good. Okay. So, we're up there. Got to stay as relaxed and as loose as possible. Okay, focusing on this set. Take our time to build it and then try and breathe into it. Hold good speed, 32 rate. Here we go. Building, moving in now. Good. Okay, elastic. Inertia. Good. Okay, here's the first quarter. Find this middle minute rhythm. Open the mouth. Armpits. Good. Hang. Now hang off it. Use the body. Inertia. Momentum. Tap. Hit the speed. Okay, hang. Open the mouth. Relax the face. Both feet. Tap. Tap. Good push. Lovely. Okay, hard work. But really trying to find sustainability, hey, with this momentum. Free speed. Okay. So, big breaths here. Build to that 32. And then I'm going to increase at 34 final minute. Building, moving in. Now, elastic. Okay. Speed of the flywheel. Good. Armpits. Stability at the finish. Momentum. Inertia. Good. Nice. Okay. Hang. Swing. Good. Right. Tap it. Now, up. Leg speed. Feel the rhythm. Round the finish. Open the mouth. 30 seconds. Tap. Elastic. Hang. Breathe. Okay. Deep breaths. Okay. Let's build through this one. Okay. If it's a bit of a pinch, start a little bit lower in rate, but build through these checkpoints. Okay. Firm. 32. Now. Okay, stay relaxed. Open the mouth. Breathe here. Elastic. Tap it. Move up. Momentum. Hey, make sure we stay relaxed. Face muscles. Open the mouth. Up. Moving. Now. Tap. Rhythm. Handle speed. Build. Elastic. Whoa, baby. Okay. Okay, composure. Oh, right up there. I think I got the 39. Okay. Just keep rowing. Reset your monitor. Hey, just move it out here with me. Big breaths. Okay, that's a really solid last half to that workout. Okay. I had a lovely rhythm on that 32. Felt really nice. Could have probably doubled it. Okay, just thinking about that relaxation, you know, like the last 30 seconds here, you know, you got to try, inverted commas, try and stay as relaxed as possible, but you're just moving so much. And the focus should be, you know, the moment we like clench down on ourselves, tense facial muscles, just sends all this tension down through the body. So even though we're flying along in rate and pressure, just a couple of little things, that face, the head, the mouth, all just help trying to eliminate completely tying up, okay? But it's those key points when you're in the middle of a piece or whatever are the parts that you're like, well, I'm pretty much on my red line with pressure, so I can't really do any more, okay? But the tension creeps in, okay? Because the body doesn't want to be at the red line, right? We're having to push ourselves, right? That's the psychology. But a couple of little pointers that can help us stay relaxed, okay, as much as possible. You know, the key aspects are that when little muscles fail, okay, it exacerbates the feeling in the entire body, okay, because we'll get to like this, you know, and we've caused so much tension in the body, you know, we're finishing like this in the hands, and now the forearms are pumped. So we're sort of doing this, you know, and we're like grabbing it because our hands, the muscles in the hands have now gone tight because they're like, fuck, I got nothing more. Whereas your big muscles are still trying to push, and they're the ones creating the speed. So that's why even under extreme pressure, just trying to eliminate these little muscle groups that have a really large negative impact on your feeling, okay? And that's why that relaxation is always important. There's key points, trying to stay as loose as possible, okay? So just think here now, just with me, just add a little bit of pressure to our drive. Hey, just a little bit more than body weight. Sitting tall, breathing. This is our active recovery phase. So we're actually trying to stimulate the muscles again. This speeds up our recovery process. Okay. Let's feel this hang. Okay, long arms. holding this body stable. Okay. Feeling this roll into the front, come off the back, one speed. Okay, one speed. Don't need to control the pace. Just roll in. Okay, roll in. Good. There it is. Okay, we've got that little bit of pressure here. You probably actually feel yourself starting to feel a little bit better. Okay, obviously still fatigued, but we're really stimulating that muscle activity, getting oxygenated blood back there, helping this recovery process, okay? I'm good. So, last bit here, let's think about this. Exactly what we're doing, but really release our tension around the finish, okay? From this draw, let the arms almost go floppy. And we can feel against our fingers this draw, this recoil of the handle, and we're moving with it, helping guide it in terms of height. Okay, good. Really nice. Feeling that body coming over, okay? From this stable position at the finish, letting our hips flex, okay? Soft knees that will just allow them to break. Now, as that hand goes over top of the knees, it's a good sort of checkpoint, hands out probably at the knees there. So back here, we're sort of probably going to have to change our height. And if we go maybe a bit too far, might over accentuate and create a bit more of a sort of pop off the finish. So just be smooth with this rhythm. Okay, do another 5 strokes here. Feel the hang. Nice rhythm. Good breathing. Last one. Beautiful. Okay. Great work. Okay, that's hard. As I say, it's a really good way to think about and practice rating. Okay, 2 minutes as well. As I've said, it's this like plus or minus sort of your 500 meter, depending. And you have to be relaxed into it, okay? Pieces like this and ultimately, you start getting up into 3-minute sections, that type of thing. You've got to be more relaxed. You're probably not going to do sort of this, or you're not going to do 8 of them when you start getting up in there. And ultimately, 1 minute, I feel there's a time and a place for 1 minute, but I really like, in terms of thinking about ratings or just checking on where you think you can manage rate,
is a really good place. Ultimately, if you're doing it by yourself, 500s are great. You could do this sort of workout. You could give yourself 90 seconds. You could do 22, 24, 250, 250. Okay. And then you start getting up into this. It's 500 at your rating, and so it's really focused on just every 100 meters or whatever, just thinking about rhythm, that type of thing. But as I say, this today was about thinking about that rhythm around the finish, the free speed that we were creating, what sort of momentum we could get to be able to hold the speed, and that's exactly what we're looking for. The 60 seconds rest does not feel like much. No, and this is the other aspect of it too. Is just saying, like your rest periods dictate how your stress levels are. Like, the problem is too much rest period can actually be like detrimental, but then so can shorter rest periods. It's trying to find a balance between the two, because if you went 2 minutes on, 2 minutes off, you actually have to start thinking about in that sort of second minute about sort of a bit more of an active recovery position. Otherwise, if you just paddle it out for that sort of 2 minutes or get to the last 10 seconds and then try and build it, the body's like, oh, hang on, I thought I was just going to be recovering all the way. Like that's all I need to do. And so it starts, there's a lot of science behind it. I don't fully know all the science. I've just got a rough idea of it, which is what I try and implement. Yeah. And you topped out at 32. What you said about tension creeping in is so true. Yeah, it's like I even felt it. Like in that last 30 seconds, I don't know what you guys are like, but I'm a countdown man. So I'm like 30 seconds. I'll just count 20 strokes because I know that in less than 20 strokes, I'm going to be finished. And so it's just sort of a 5, 5, 5, wherever I've got left to go, boom, we're out of here. But it is so difficult because you're just moving so quickly that you don't have time. It is very, very hard to try and stay relaxed, but you've got to have an A for trying, right? And if you can keep that try and you can try and keep that movement as much as possible, you just don't get into that position where you can, you got 15 or 20 seconds left to go on the screen and you're basically rowing a half slide, because you're just like, I've got nothing to give. I can't get out there. I can't get my length. I can't do this. So it's just trying to minimize that as much as possible. 7th piece fastest, may try a high rate when I'm not so knackered. Moscow. Yeah, exactly, right? And this is exactly what I said at the start. You depending on the day, depending on what you've been doing, all of these things are massive factors in our performance. And this is where you just need to understand and work on it and go, well, I know I'm going to be, like this is Sunday. Is this the start of your week? Is it the end of your training week? When did you have days off? And so you've got to think about it in that sense as well. But it is identifying that as well, because we all, if over a week, your performance should decrease, okay? It's science, it's a fact. And if it does decrease through that week, that's okay. But obviously you try and test yourself at the end of the week and you're like, Jesus, why am I going so slow? There is a reason. And so it's just really trying to make sure that we understand that, which for everybody is completely different. But for ourselves, if we know that one, we try and push ourselves to be like, well, I'm not going to let it affect me, even though it already is. But if you can try and perform when under that pressure and under that fatigue, okay, then you know that it's good, right? You're like, I really tried to give myself things so that when you are fresh that you'll be able to back it up and actually go really well. Pims, there was so intense towards the end, really try to tap it along in relaxation as you've coached does make a difference mentally. Yeah, and it is, like when you're under full stress, the hot, like, it's going to be hard, like I go into that. I did like the seventh piece as well, Moscow. I enjoyed, that 32. I'd had a good rhythm in the sixth piece, and then into that seventh. When we went up to that 34, I was like, yeah, I'm just really going to focus on that speed of the drive, and it started really swinging through for me. So that was great. But then obviously you get into that last one, and I'm like, fuck. Not much left in the tank now, which is exactly right. But yes, just, and this is the whole thing, this free speed notion is about, momentum of the body, transferring mass, thinking about it in that sense. But it is also in our psychological and our physical exertion sort of area at the same time. Which is exactly what Pims is saying, thinking about the relaxation, trying to think about the tapping it along, okay? That's where we can either manage speed or get more speed because we're thinking about it in a slightly different sense. And a lot of time, the psychological way of doing it is where people miss, right? They're like, oh, I started tying up, or I just got, so difficult here and I just felt myself pulling on it, doing all of these things. Whereas you just got to keep thinking, and that's the thing is when we lose this, especially when we're under a lot of pressure, is where you're just throwing it out the door, and it's like, there's a moment to throw it out the door, right? Last 15 seconds of this, just fucking rip it. Who cares? Like she's going to be game over in 15 seconds. Doesn't matter. Empty the tank, drop every last ounce out of it you possibly can. But through the bulk of it and the majority, the longer we stay relaxed, the longer we hold it, the better chance we have of sustaining our pace. Okay. And as I've always said, on a rowing machine, you're just tipping out your cup, right? You're tipping out your cup of energy. Whatever piece you're doing, whatever test, 1,000, 2K, 5K, whatever. You're emptying your energy level over that entire period. And it's important, in my opinion, to try and do it as consistently as possible, right? If you can maintain a consistent pace over that period, we don't have this spike at the start, slower, and then just rely on this, I'll see what I can do at the end of it. If we can be on this steady pace like this all the way, but our energy levels heading in a linear direction, we've got a better chance of going, I want to hit a 150. I know I can hit a 150, whatever. And you're like, I did it. Perfect. And you've completely gassed yourself at the finish. That's perfect. Rather than going 145, 152, 155, and then trying to see what you get at the finish. It's all about trying to be as consistent as we can over that period, because I believe that is scientifically, mentally the best way to approach it. Okay, so that, as I say, energy expenditure is pretty much linear. It's like the fuel in your gas tank. It just runs out over time. Okay, we just run out of ours over a quicker time because of what we're doing, and it's just making sure that we try and make it go as evenly as possible with our speed. Okay. So that's enough for today. Thanks, team. Warm down properly, jump in some nutrition, do what you need. Really, really good workout. Keep the notion of what we were doing today in terms of like your own training and when you're doing it, because as I say, it's hard enough as it fucking is, right? The machine. But it's trying to find these little pieces where we can either eke out some more speed or maintain our speed for longer periods of time, making it slightly easier on ourselves, using the body's natural motion around the finish, foot straps, holding ourselves in position, creating the momentum, riding the momentum forward, and then picking the momentum of the flywheel up again. All of these little things, if we keep working on it, we need to identifying it and understanding it as well, right? So that when you are under stress, you are under pressure, you can recreate it, okay, or get it back to as close as possible, okay? And that's what we're trying to achieve, okay? So perfect. I'm out of here. I'm going to go jump on the bike for 5 or 10 minutes, I think.
just maybe warm down a little bit further. It was great, intense. Gonna have a look at my numbers in a minute. Keep up good work, team. We'll see you guys back here next week. Do something crazy again, as always. It's what we're here for. Okay. All the best. Have a great week. We'll see you guys later.